I'm getting too old for this sort of thing.
The good Lord lets us grow old for a reason, to gain the wisdom to find fault with everything He's made.
I've seen things people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shore of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the 10-hour gate.
Welcome to Not Retired Yet. If you think you're too old for this, well, you know the rest. I'm Lucas, I'm 52, and I need a job. I'm not alone. There are plenty of us out there across industries, across time zones, and across our virtual horizon. Older job seekers getting up each day and fighting the good fight because, well, we have to. We're not retired yet. This is a document of the diverse experiences we as older folks face as we look for work in 2025 and beyond. These are interesting times, indifferent times, uncertain times, and hostile times. With AI, capitalism, and careers in the late stages, I hope to shed some light on these and other areas of concern and happiness. I am talking to our fellow job seekers and sharing their stories and thoughts on a time when we should be planning our exit from the workforce, and instead, we're starting over. Today I'm talking with Christof from Spain. Christof is currently an engineering manager after a year of looking for work. I've chatted with Christof a few times on Slack, but this is the first time that I've actually spoken to him. It's interesting to interview someone not in the US. It indicates that our challenges do not vary by geography and that, as older job seekers, we face similar headwinds and tailwinds regardless of what country we are in. Spain is unique in the European Union in that it has a higher unemployment rate than other member countries, around 11% in Q1 and predicted to rise a notch in Q2. This compared with the 4% unemployment rate in the US means that looking for work in Spain comes with an additional obstacle. Christof, thank you so much for speaking with me today, and welcome to the show.
Yeah, cool. I try to help.
How is looking for work there? I mean, Spain is it's got a higher unemployment rate than the rest of the EU and the US as well. How is it looking for work there?
Yeah, it changed over time. Like when I arrived here, like 25 years ago, well, we chose Barcelona because it's a big city, so there's a lot of
Yeah,
opportunity there, and I had a chance to find something there. And the tech community there grew over the years, so it got better and better. And I found other jobs also there. There are a lot of local startups like or scale-ups like Typeform, for example, is from Barcelona, or Glovo. I don't know if it's known outside. Yeah, it's pretty big. Um, but then the pandemic changed everything because obviously before you could attract talent to Barcelona because they said, okay, maybe you don't earn as much as in Germany or London, but you have Barcelona. But because people started working remote, so they came to Barcelona and just continued working for London or Germany. They had the good money, but also the good location. And I think that changed the environment quite a bit. And so now, yeah, I think the better you are, the more likely it is that you work remotely. Obviously, there's also probably like in the States, there's a change, like return to office from some
yeah.
companies, but there's still a lot of options to work fully remotely. And the other thing that's maybe different from the States is that while Europe is like without the borders and you can just go to a different country and start working there, um, they're still very siloed. So like often Spanish companies say, "Oh, okay, you can work fully remote, but it has to be in Spain." And like in France, especially, you can work from wherever as long as it's in France. And so that limits obviously the places you can apply to. And um, yeah, with US jobs, then there's like a time zone thing that they often also expect to be in the same time zones.
And you're working now, correct?
Yes, yes.
Nice. Oh, that's great news. Congratulations. That's tough because you were looking for work for quite a while before this.
Yeah, and it was kind of two stage. So I left a job where I worked for 8, 9 years, joined a scale up, which was not to my liking, and I left it without having any plan. And I started looking, and but I also wanted to take some time off. So and then there I looked also roughly 1 year, and then I found another scale up, which didn't end well. And I so now I looked for like, yeah, 11 months, not quite a year, but nearly a year for another position. At this time, it was much harder. Before I definitely had more offers and more choice, so I could be a little bit specific what kind of job I wanted.
Are you in a management position now, correct?
Yes, now I'm an engineering manager in a smaller company. Before I had like director level positions basically. But yeah, because of the market and I wanted to do work again, I decided to cut down, and also like my salary is less than previously, but it's a nice company. Like the previous two companies, I was not happy with either way. So I thought, okay, I give this a try, and so far it has been, yeah, quite interesting. I mean, I'm still onboarding and I'm trying to figure
Oh,
out what is where, but it's an interesting company anyway.
I'm wondering if you view that motion to an engineering manager as kind of a downgrade from what you were doing because you were a CTO at some point, and then being able to move into a more of an engineering manager, if you viewed that as something that was kind of a not necessarily the right trajectory.
Well, it's a definitely a downgrade, and I love working with engineering managers. I love bring my experience across and help them grow, and I think that's something that I a skill that I developed over the recent years. So I'm going to miss this, but at the same time, I really like working closely with engineers now because I love the engineering side too. So it's a downgrade, and but my biggest problem is that if I look for my next job, recruiters just look at the title. That's
Yeah.
the thing. That's the problem. And even my last title before, even though I was director level, they called directors engineering managers. And you always have to explain this then in other interviews. Oh no, I managed 5 teams, but they called engineering managers team leads, and then the engineer managers, and then the director was in reality in another company it would have been a VP, and so like it was everything. They named it a little bit different. And yeah, you always have to explain these kind of things. If you're talking to the next opportunity, it's different. Not that I'm looking directly, but I know how it is. That's
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to say.
The market like feels really strange right now, especially in tech, where we've got like Microsoft, who's a neighbor of me right here. He's like maybe 20 miles down the road from me. They announced in like back at the beginning of the year that they're going to have layoffs, but that wasn't going to affect engineers. Well, it turns out that was 70% of their layoffs were engineers, and
Yeah.
they had this big reveal that like 30% of their code is written by AI. Do you feel that, excuse me, do you feel that in Spain as well, that there is kind of an AI influx to this market?
It's not fully visible. I think it's visible in the startups. Like every startup has to have AI in the name now, otherwise you don't get funding. But otherwise, I haven't seen it. Yeah, I saw the announcement from Microsoft, especially about the Xbox and Activision and so on. It was like King, who do Candy Crush. They have a big office in Barcelona and in Europe in general, and they also let go of 200 people. So I know people that are
Oof.
affected here in Barcelona, and it's yeah, but I think they just want to save money in some way, and I don't know if it's directly related to AI. I mean, in the gaming business, they use a lot of AI because they have to do a lot of graphics, sounds, and so on. And obviously, it's easier to do with AI. I don't know how much they use for on the programming side.
You had responded to the survey with when I asked about if there was any type of challenges that older job seekers faced as they were looking for work. You said that when you were talking to businesses and venture capitals, you said that they confirmed that they were mostly looking for younger people, and I think that feels true to me. Though I don't
Mm.
think that like anybody would explicitly confirm that itself. But is that something that people said explicitly to you that were like, no, we're actually looking for younger people?
Not like that, but what I did is I did this never search alone process where
Yeah.
you go with a group of other people so that you're not looking like going through this horrible thing alone. And once they have like a program, and one step of this program is that you do like a listening tour, that you contact people that you know in different areas of business and ask them, okay, what is the market like? How do I fit in? And so on. And I know one guy who used to be a startup founder, multiple startups, and he's now into venture capital. And yeah, we just had a very honest conversation, and he said it's yeah, for startups specifically, it's probably difficult in my age because yeah, I'm 55 now, and they have to think, okay, how does it fit in their planning? Obviously, they want to have some growth plan, and they probably most they might be young themselves, the founders, and then so they're thinking about just hiring young people, or um, if it's a business, like if they have long-term plans, they also think, okay, in 10 years, Christoph is 65, is like a retirement age,
Yeah.
basically. Do we want to invest in that? So yeah, it makes totally sense. Um, I would say I still have to bring something to companies, like especially experience. But I also understand that. And maybe when I had my startup back in the day, maybe I would have also hesitated to employ someone who is, don't know, 20 years older than myself.
Oh wow, yeah, no, it rings true for me too. Like having been part of a startup in my 20s and being able to, supply that business with 90 hours worth of work a week is something that I definitely do not want to do anymore. Like that's really a younger person's type of thing. And that, I mean, it sticks in our mouth, in our craw, that there's an expectation for that type of effort. And the Mark Zuckerberg quote about how he only hires like people under 30 just because their lives are less complicated rings really true, but that doesn't really help, when we're looking for work, when we've got skills and assets that we can bring to the table that maybe isn't this brute force effort that is needed for startups. And that's something that you said was an asset that older job seekers have. And I
Hmm.
absolutely agree. You also said that there was a sense of calm. And that I really liked how you put that. That was really cool. And how do you mean a sense of calm?
Yeah, I think when you're younger, you panic easy. Like if something goes wrong, if the server goes down, and because everything is new, like you see something for the first time. And but when you're older, you have seen most of the things already, and you realize it's never that bad. Yeah, you fix it, and then it's okay again, and you're just not worried that much about it. But yeah, I think that's the thing, and I understand Zuckerberg. I think he didn't say it that way, but probably what he meant is it's easier to exploit younger people. And like if you have more experience, you just don't care about certain things anymore. And yeah, I think it's a calm, and you also realize when I was young, I did like the 12-hour day programming sessions. But even then, after a couple of years, I realized that I was just the next day I was just fixing the bugs that I made the previous evening because I was too tired to do anything reasonable anymore. And so now I try to also bring this across when I work with young engineers. Like it doesn't make sense. You will just mess it up.
That is something that comes with that trial and error that you have, which is great to have like a more senior person to be the calming factor in that, both for issues and incidents, as well as kind of knowing when to stop.
Yeah.
And that's really that's something that is that type of value is hard to realize as I think startup or people in tech, the business leaders in tech, tend to gravitate more towards the move fast and break things
Mm.
approach instead of moving slower and not breaking things,
Okay.
which is definitely, as more senior as we get to be more senior level in this industry, is so much to make so much more sense.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm in somewhere in the middle. I still like to move fast and break things, but I have more patience for like really small incremental changes because I have the patience to work on a year on something and then look back, okay, something changed. While maybe when I was younger, I wanted to see the change directly. I want to say, okay, we do a reorganization, everything will be different, we will be perfect tomorrow, and everything will be good. And then nothing happens, and yeah, it just doesn't work that way. And now I want, I'm focused on iteration and changing things every day, like moving in a different direction, but I'm patient that something comes out of it.
Yeah, no, that's such a yeah, and that's again that's such a such a thing that comes with experience
Mm,
and being able to have gone through all those worst incidents, all those worst case scenarios that we do, and come out of it. It's not this isn't no lives are in danger here. We're not brain
yeah.
surgeons to be able to do that, and that's reassuring to some point. You're kind of easing into this role now, this new role, and but there's still kind of you said there was kind of a sense of dread still because there wasn't a because you're realizing that nothing lasts forever, that there is that the no job is like particularly stable. Is that still true?
Yeah, I think that's also maybe that comes with experience that you, I mean, I had few jobs already, and I know like none of this is stable. And
Hmm.
I read a good post just today about the illusion of control, which was talking about people being let go in companies. And the fact is that you don't really have control over that. Yeah, like you might be sad if you get fired or if the company goes down or whatever. But it's something that you don't have control over. And I think yeah, you realize that after you went through a lot of these changes already, and maybe when you're young, you don't realize this. And now, especially in this market, yeah, I would worry if I would have to search now again. It would be very annoying. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, no, absolutely, absolutely. That's and yeah, and that's maybe that is also another aspect that comes with that experience where you do realize that there is not that you've got just an illusion of stability for the time
Mm,
being, and that nothing is not particularly going to last. And
yeah.
maybe that's a function of being in the tech sector as well. That's very much that it is as opposed to like academia or something like that, or healthcare, which is much
Mm.
much more stable. People stay in those roles for quite a while.
Yeah. I mean, where I work now, there are people that are there since the very beginning, since it was a startup. So they've been there for, I don't know, 15 years or
Oh
so,
wow.
always in the same company that they never knew anything else. So that they also have the sense of stability. But at the same time, Microsoft used to be a very stable company. Like once you started with
Yeah.
Microsoft, I think it's like IBM, it's a job for life. But obviously, the 6,000 people that now got fired, they probably thought, okay, this is a very stable job. But yeah, it's not. It's all an illusion.
Yeah, and another 9,000 just this week.
Yeah,
That's yeah, that's it's really kind of a big shakeup, or it feels like it, which only adds more competition to the job pool.
exactly.
So that's there's a challenge there too. Um, and it's so without that stability, can you really plan for like something like retirement?
No. Uh, I mean, I'm lucky that I'm here in Spain, so there's some safety nets that you have here. I will not, definitely not early retire or anything like that. I don't make enough money for that. But yeah, if I work some more years, I think will be all right. Uh, I think, but maybe you always hear like people in that are like 40 to 50, 60. Those are the ages that start their own startups. Maybe because they can't get anything else. But that's maybe also when you have the time and the experience and maybe the ideas to start something else. But yeah, for now I'm happy that I have this position, and then we'll see what happens. Well, I mean, we also have been, yeah, I mentioned the dot-com crash, and there was the big housing crisis that also affected a lot of companies, and the pandemic, which affected a lot of businesses, especially in Spain, related to the travel industry, and a lot of companies like Booking.com, which is in Holland, or um, Skyscanner, which is also in Spain, also here in Barcelona. And so you see these waves coming and going. So I still think maybe the AI hype at some point goes down a little bit, and then people start to hire again because they realized they need people. Um, or they hire more people because of AI, because they realize, okay, um, we just need more people doing more stuff. Because whenever we got more efficient, like over the years, we learned so many things that made us more efficient, like easier hosting with the clouds, or more tools and more frameworks and better ways of working. We got better and better, like not much better, but better over time. And nobody ever said, I have enough engineers. Like you always have more ideas than you have engineers in your company. That it, so I think maybe I mean, my estimate is that it makes you maybe 30% more efficient, maybe 50% more efficient. That's great. Then you can try a lot more things in the same company, but it doesn't mean that you need less people. You still want more people having even more impact. But maybe this has to settle first, and people have to realize, okay, which are the companies that make money and that really make money, like with any startup. Yeah, it will be interesting to see, and what happens with all of this code that is generated nowadays.
The nature of engineering specifically is changing dramatically. Not saying that we don't need engineers anymore, certainly, but that job is going to look a lot different in 4 or 5 years. And there's a long tail, especially in the U.S. There's a long tail of organizations adopting it and industries adopting it as part of their processes. And it is kind of slow. Some certain industries are slower than others, for sure. But do you think that as engineers start coming up through the ranks and are becoming more senior, and not junior anymore, do you think that the AI is changing those jobs as people work in their organizations?
I think it will. I think there's certain things that are probably easier with AI if you use it as a tool. And yeah, read some nice blog posts and heard podcasts from Kent Beck, for example. He's experimenting with TDD and AIs, like, and really interesting stuff. And even the vibe coding, I mean, for prototyping and so on, I think it's great. I mean, we're talking about the problems that older people have, but I'm also worried now about the people just leaving university, because those jobs at the moment, like people say that, okay, they're the easiest to replace, but how do you get senior people if you don't have juniors? And yeah, I think that will be a problem in the future. Not my problem, but someone's problem.
It is a real gap to have senior people retiring out or what have you, and juniors coming on that can't find a stable place to work. It wasn't but like 3 years ago that being a computer scientist was that was a very stable job choice. You were going down that route as an engineer, and you're going to be very much set up for a good amount of time. And now it's less so, and I've got a little bit of hope that maybe the humanities will come back, and people will spend some time studying history and philosophy again, but we'll see.
Yeah, yeah, it's an interesting point. I mean, when I was CTO in a medium-sized company there, we hired people straight from boot camps. Um, and it was amazing to see how they grew and learned about the technology and working in a big environment, working in a team. And yeah, I just wonder what happens to people. What happens to boot camps? Do they still exist? Do people still hire out of boot camps? I don't. I'm not sure. And yeah, like you say, like what maybe people focus on different areas, arts and so on. And I mean, I'm a big fan of the uh, what do you call it, like the income, universal income.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think yeah, at some point we reached a point where we probably need less people working, and then we have to figure something out. We can't just say, yeah, now the dream is okay, we have 0% unemployment. But in the future, that doesn't make any sense anymore. If we become more efficient and more efficient, at some point we have to say, okay, everybody works 4 days a week, or only the people who want to work, and or maybe all the young people they can have fun, and only the old people have to work. We will see how it happens, but I think that mindset is not in there yet
Yeah.
from the politicians and from the bigger society. Uh, I
Yeah.
think we have to hurt more first.
Yeah, I agree with you there, and I hope it rolls the other way. We've got about 30 seconds left. Do you have any final thoughts?
Um, no, I'm looking forward to the future. I'm really happy to be in a company where I learn weird stuff again. I have weird setups, weird technology, weird problems, and also people who can learn from my experience. So it's interesting to see, and yeah, I'll see how it goes, and how long this will last. This illusion of control.
I will be thinking about the illusion of control for a long time after this interview. Thank you so much, Christof. There is so much that we didn't cover. The dot-com boom and the verboten topic of universal income being two important topics that we just didn't have time for. This interview was conducted over Zoom from Seattle, Washington and San Cristobal, Spain. If you have questions or comments, please reach out to me via email at lucas.smith.development@gmail.com. And until next time, keep fighting the good fight. I will. I'm not retired yet.